Today I'm going to be using these amazing products from Altenew to create a couple of gorgeous floral cards. Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. Today I'm excited to be playing with some new Altenew products. So I have here a variety of items. I have the permanent black pigment ink, the Green Fields set of their artist markers. Like you can see the kind of color range here. And then they are like dual tipped. So you have kind of a fine tip and then a brush tip. That's kind of my favorite kind of markers. And I got the green because I already have this 4-scoop set. So this is, fun for coloring flowers, but then I didn't have anything for the greenery. So now I have these two that I can pair together and color a complete floral set. I have the whimsical tulip stamp. It's just got the tulip and then the sentiment high. Thought that was really cute. And I love to color, but I don't feel that I'm the greatest at it, but I can totally handle something like that. That's my jam. I have the birthday greetings stamp set, which has a ton of, obviously, birthday greetings. Let's celebrate happy birthday, with kind of a mixed script. Close your eyes, make a wish to a dear friend. Yay, birthday wishes, it's your birthday, smile. Happy birthday to you. Sending birthday hugs and happy belated birthday. And then you have parentheses and then like some little, or like not parentheses, well I guess it could be parentheses, but I'm guessing it's actually like to highlight the balloon on second thought. Because then you've got like another little highlight spot and then like the tip of the balloon there. So a fun birthday stamp. And then this one just has a ton of different kind of sentiments. It's called Heartfelt Sentiments. So it's got thinking of you, prayers and hugs from me to you, warm wishes from the bottom of my heart. You are the best. Thank you so much. I miss you. With gratitude, missing your smile. Thank you. Wishing you comfort and peace. Sending you warm hugs. Thank you. Sorry, so sorry for your loss. You are in my thoughts. Love you. Forever grateful. Just because. Smile. You're a lifesaver. Love you, get well soon, thinking of you, sending prayers with deepest sympathy, missing you, wishing you a fast recovery, with a grateful heart, and then love and kisses. So I feel like you can never have, well, for me, I can never have too many like general birthday stamps, stamp sets. And then I also love a wide variety of kind of these general assorted type sentiments. And this one has a lot of good sympathy and get well soon kind of sentiments, which I don't have a ton of. So, and then I have this gorgeous and luscious paper pack. Oh my goodness. It's the Wildflower paper pack, and it's 16 sheets. They're double-sided, and they're just like kind of a luscious texture. And this is going to sound really weird, but if you are a paper lover or a book lover, it even has like a nice refreshing paper smell, as weird as that sounds. But I always love, I love books, the smell that you get from book paper. But anyway, my weirdness aside, this is just gorgeous. It's got deep pinks, kind of plum, light pinks, blush, and then, like a dark green for contrast with the leaves. And the back side is just kind of more of a neutral pattern. The dark green with this pretty kind of ombre pattern on the back. Floral and a nice solid neutral. Then we have some black for contrast as well. And then the kind of teal geometric. This is a little geometric pattern too. Pink solid. Deep pink floral. Some geometric. Black and white stripes. And that circular pattern. This kind of gives me a little bit of a Navajo feel. Then you've got more of a geometric pattern on the back, and then we start over. So there are 2 of each sheet in the pack, and then you know they are double-sided, so there's a wide variety of designs and colors, and I love them, and I'm excited to play with them. And I got this because I thought it paired well with the pink and the orange that I had in my 4 scoops marker set. So that is what I'm going to be playing with today, and we're going to be making several cards to kind of showcase all of the wonderful items. Thank you to Altenew for these fun and gorgeous products, and hopefully I can do them justice in my cards today. So let's get crafting. The first thing I'm going to do is use the pigment black ink to stamp out my tulip, and I am going to stamp it twice. And I wanted to go ahead and do this first just to give the pigment ink some time to dry. Pigment ink takes a little bit longer to dry, so I stamped these and then set them aside, and kind of, actually I think it's the next morning when I came back in and started my coloring. So I did ink it up a few times for each stamp, and because it was a brand new stamp, I did use my hand and kind of press onto the stamp a little bit just to get some oils from my skin on there and kind of condition the stamp a little bit so it accepts the ink better. Now that these are stamped, I will go ahead and set those aside, and then here we are the next morning. And I am just doing some basic coloring on this. Like I said, I'm not a super sophisticated colorist. So I'm starting with the leaves. I used the frayed leaf green, the lightest green in the set. And then for the tulip, I'm giving the whole tulip a coverage of Peach Perfect from the 4 scoop set. And then on coming, kind of giving some little dry time in between each step too, in between each layer. Next, I'm using Forest Glades on the leaves and the stem. And then I'm going to come back in and do more coats of the Peach Perfect on the tulip. I don't have another color that will blend really well, like that's a really close color to this peach. And so I'm just using the same color to kind of darken up certain areas so that there is a little bit of contour and contrast. And then I do use a little bit of the darkest green, that evergreen, on the very innermost points of the leaves. And then I go back over with Forest Glades. And then again, one more time with frayed leaf to kind of blend all of that in. And then I'm just going to keep adding some layers onto the tulip. And each time I kind of go a little bit further to the right, so you could see kind of how that tulip turned out. My first card, I am using a sketch from Sunday Sketches. It's sketch number 7. And I have some kind of tealy, like a real dark teal green cardstock that I brought in from my stash to use as a mat. And then I'm using the circles, kind of whimsical watercolor circle pattern for my pattern paper mat layer. And then I pulled in 2 different patterns for these strips at the top, kind of the Aztec-y and then just the dark kind of pink plum geometric pattern. And I chose the sketch because it showcases a lot of the different patterns on the same card. For these little banner strips at the bottom, I'm using one of the dark green, kind of a dark rose that was from the ombre pattern, and then that geometric kind of curvy stripe there that brings in all of the colors together. And I'm going to go ahead and layer these together before I add them to my panel. And then I will attach them to the back of my little tulip panel there. And I did use Happy Birthday from the birthday stamp at the bottom of my tulip. I did that off camera. Kind of shift those up a little bit more, and then I can add this whole panel to the front of my card. And then I'm going to be using a scrap strip that I had left over to bring in and add to the inside of the card. Just bring a little bit of the colors from the outside in and bring some interest and fun to the inside. For card number 2, I'm using Mojo Monday sketch number 359. So again, I'm starting with that teal green cardstock mat and bringing in that curved stripe pattern for the center. And instead of matting it, I just decided to kind of eliminate some of the bulk of that matting layer, and I just cut some really thin strips of white cardstock that I'm going to add on either side of that piece, just so it kind of gives the look of matting without the extra bulk or dimension of the matting. And we'll go ahead and put that down on my card base. Both my cards are A2 size cards today, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I have this kind of green square pattern that I have matted on some white cardstock, and I'm going to overlap that off to the left side. And then for the strip, I had this scrap strip already left over, and so rather than cutting a whole new strip, I am going to kind of stretch it so that, because it didn't quite fit across the 5 1/2 inch width of the card, so I am going to stretch it by cutting it in half, and then you won't see where that gap is because I'm going to cover it with the flower. And the flowers I just cut out of that gorgeous floral pattern, and I'm going to fussy cut those out, and I'm using this larger floral piece as the circle element that is on the card. And while I am fussy cutting, I will have the Altenew products that I've shared today linked in the description box below for you if you'd like to check them out. They will be affiliate links, which means I do get a small commission if you order from those links. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does help support my channel. And then I've also got this little flower that I kind of cut apart and then fussy cut all the different pieces out, and it's going to be the smaller floral piece that was on the sketch. And I'm going to kind of piece it back together once I've got it cut out. I have birthday wishes from the birthday stamp set again, and I'm going to trim it down just a little bit because it is a wider script sentiment. And then it's going to kind of overlap that bottom or that horizontal strip that goes across the card. So right now I'm just kind of dry fitting, trying to make sure that it's all going to work okay together, and then I can start gluing things down. I realized that the flower there, it hangs off that green square pattern, and so I wanted to add some scrap cardstock behind it just to help that flower sit more level. So I'm going to add the 2 layers of the scrap cardstock off to the right hand side, just adding it straight to the base of the card, and then we'll layer my flower over the top of that. I loved that flower, and it was super simple to fussy cut, but I definitely wanted to showcase some of those gorgeous florals from that one sheet. And then I added a little bit of cardstock scrap at the bottom of the right hand side of the flower too. And then now, because I've popped that up, I also am going to have to kind of even out my sentiment strip here as well. So I have 2 strips of scrap cardstock that I'm just going to glue together and add behind my sentiment. I could use foam, but the foam would have kind of taken it too high. I didn't need it to be quite that high, and then I would have had to add another layer at the top. So that is why I'm using scrap cardstock as my kind of filler dimension layers. And it's a great use of the scraps. So now that I have my sentiment down, I can go ahead and add this little flower off to the left-hand side, and I'm just trying to cover up the whole width of the sentiment strip there. I'll tuck those leaves back in underneath. Trying to figure out the best way to glue that one on the right down so that it covers the width of my sentiment strip. And then I do want to add something on the inside, so I pulled in another strip scrap. And then I felt like it needed some balance, so I'm using that same pattern that I used on the inside and just cutting a tiny little banner to go over onto the right hand side of the front. And I feel like that just balances it out and pulls that plum pink color through. I did make a third card, and I used the tulip again, this time colored it with the cotton candy pink, and then brought in some other patterns. I had so much fun with these products today. Thank you so much, Altenew, for giving me the chance to play with them. Be sure to check the description box for links to any of the products, and I'll have the sketches linked down there for you as well. Thank you all so much for your time today, and I hope you all have a very crafty day.